Hello, and welcome back to Parley, the show where you folks support the other stuff I make by paying me monthly to talk about the topic of your choice. And this month, True Mr.FOoT is going for that meta parlay. This is going to be a tier list of Mr.FOoT's own parlay requests. So, obviously, making a tier list template for this would take a long time. That's outside the scope of a parlay video, but Mr.FOoT already made one, so perfectly fine. Cool. So again, these are Mr.FOoT's own parlay videos. Mr.FOoT has had parlay for quite a while, like several years, and so we're going to be ranking them in some manner. Mr.FOoT says, "Look, I know you probably are gonna hate this one, but I don't care." By the way, I totally don't. Like, this is a perfectly fine. I don't hate this one. I don't know why you think that. This month we'll do a parlay that I've been wanting to do for almost 2 years now. It's my birthday, September 4th. Happy belated birthday. And I will give myself what I want because no one else will. Today you'll rank parlay on a tier list. I wouldn't feel comfortable forcing you to rank other people's parlay, which is why we will feed my narcissism. You will rank all of my parlay, all 36 requests that are on YouTube. That's a lot. 36. Congratulations on having 36 videos. But we'll maybe talk about that a little bit at the end, by the way. This parlay will consist of 3 steps, Mr.FOoT says. The first and longest step will be the creation of the tier list. There's some pre-made tiers. They're not relative to general parlay requests. This would be very boring because then every parlay would just be B solid. Instead, we're rating them based on other parlay in the tier list. So this tier list is relative to Mr.FOoT's own parlay. And that also means a parlay that is in E week is just the worst parlay Mr.FOoT has created, not necessarily a bad request in general. It doesn't make sense to compare different people's parlay anyway, because everyone has their own goal and approach. The goal of this is to learn about Mr.FOoT's parlay and maybe help them improve those in the future. Right, this also saves me from needing to actually pass judgment and say you, my paying customer, did a thing that I think is bad, which, like, I don't mind, I guess, but it's nicer when we're not worrying about whether we're saying it is good or not. By the way, like, I'm not the one who decides anyhow, right? Like, this is entertainment for all of you. If I think it's bad, who cares? So, getting out of the way is good, I think. You should try to have a decent spread, Mr.FOoT says. It's okay if you leave one of the tiers empty, but you can't put everything in S. If you do, you might have to adjust your scale or criteria. Feel free to use your own criteria, though. I was using a 2-to-1 scale of how much I liked the question in retrospect and how much I liked the resulting parlay video. But you can use whatever you want as long as you rate the actual parlay. Be harsh, because you won't hurt my feelings. You got it. And try to have fun. Wait, you rated them yourself. In the second stage, you'll take a look at the final tier list, check if there are any patterns, sure. The final will be a comparison of your tier list with mine, because I'm curious how our views differ. Cool, so Mr.FOoT has filled this out themselves. Oh, I see, it's in like a spoiler thing. Okay, great, easy. Let's get started. So, some materials. Mr.FOoT has linked a playlist with every parlay of theirs that is on YouTube. And I can use that for reference. Now, again, of course, because of the nature of this parlay, it would take way too long to like go back and watch even only a little bit of each parlay request. Remember, there's 36 of these. So if I take, a meaningful amount of time in each one, this is going to be way longer than a normal parlay. We're going to have to go pretty rapid fire. And looking over this list, having the thumbnail, having the name, like, it really helps jog one's memory. And I actually do remember a lot of these. Quite a few of these pretty immediately come back to my mind. So it should be pretty straightforward, I think. I'm feeling confident so far. We'll see if that confidence is misplaced. Now, how am I going to rank them? What criteria am I going to use? Well, for a lot of these, I have a kind of specific note, but basically it's going to be some combination of do I like this kind of request? Do I think this is like a good kind of request, and why? Another thing I care about a lot that probably nobody else does is like future proofing. Some of these parlay, my answer isn't the same now, and it hasn't been that long. I change maybe a little more than the average person over a unit of time, so that's a little unfair. Like, it's not really your fault, but I do think some of these have aged poorly, not like terribly, but anyway. And of course, it might just be like how excited I would be to do them again, maybe. So that's a word cloud of things that that would be criteria for me. But as we go through, I do have something specific to say about most of them. So let's just get started. Corrupted Warframe mods. This one is called Would More Corrupted Warframe Ability Stat Mods Be Good? My answer right now would be no. I think this is okay. It's a game design related parlay. That's a really good way to do basically buildcraft discussion, but in this format of video because it's more abstract anyway. There really wouldn't be anything to show anyway. I guess you could make mods of the thing, but the idea here is corrupted mods in Warframe are just mods that give you some big positive, but then you get a negative in another stat. Which I think are broadly a good thing in Warframe and a lot of games. They're very common as a buildcraft object, but I feel like more of them, yeah, maybe not. I'm not sure. Currently, we have a lot already. Giving the player too much freedom would make it less restrictive. I don't know. I'm going to say B, maybe A. I'm going to start at B. We're kind of building up like what each tier's standard is right now, so it's likely that these early ones will move. What is a jabroni? This one is called What is a Jabroni? I think this one isn't good. I am not interested in like slang internet culture very much. And so this is not a bad request in general, but it doesn't play to my... There's no reason to ask me this. You know, I think maybe the only appeal, and this is fine, by the way, like I don't really mind people asking this, but I don't think you're going to get a great result. I don't believe I am a good machine for making entertainment out of this type of question, but like I don't particularly hate it, I guess. Sometimes I worry that I'm misunderstanding something that's like hateful or something. I guess the only appeal is that I have some surprisingly old manish appeal when I'm trying to understand this. You know, I'm actually pretty in tune with our cultural consciousness at the moment, just not necessarily certain types of meme culture. So I'm gonna put this one in E, but I feel like that might be a bit strong. Like I don't know. And this is also kind of like the improvise parlay, like the improvise lore parlays, which I actually think those are a decent fit for me. So I don't know. I want to put this in E, but I might move it later. The Beginner's Guide. This parlay is called In the Game the Beginner's Guide. Is the game the Beginner's Guide? An elaborate trap for game critics. In this one, Mr.FOoT asked if I'd be okay with playing the game The Beginner's Guide, and they offered to gift it to me. It was pretty cheap. And then basically do like a book club or response to it. This is a really unsustainable type of parlay, which is one of my criteria, which puts it low. But I liked The Beginner's Guide from a literary perspective. Like if we're playing it to analyze it and not just like for a fun game, if the goal is to talk about it, I thought it was good for that. I don't normally enjoy that kind of game very much, so this is the type of thing where I think I enjoyed it more because you asked this type of question. I'm gonna put it in C. All the negative is because this is a very unsustainable type of parlay request. If I got a lot of these, I'd have to just say no to them most of the time. There'll be one like that later as well, but I liked all of the doing of the request. Like I enjoyed, I don't know. And again, I think personally that it actually improved my experience of the game in the context of, you know, critiquing it. The next one is the bad mod tier list for Warframe. Tier lists and tier lists. This one is called How Bad Are Warframe's Worst Mods on a Tier List. This one was very popular. It was pretty fun to do. The only negative it gets is that it's not very future-proof. Like this is already fairly out of date. That's kind of Warframe's fault though. Like it's not the same as me changing, right? So I'm going to say A. I feel like this is pretty good. I feel like this is a good example of how like if you want to use Parley as a way to make a video and then kind of just like hire me as the voice actor and visual actor, you can do that to great results. This is also the most viewed Parley of all time. I believe by quite a bit. It's got like thousands of views. That doesn't count for my criteria, but like I get why. It's fun. Like it was pretty much just the video I would make for the normal Zannypants channel when I was focused on only making Warframe videos rather than build videos in general. So I'm gonna say A to S. Again, the only reason it gets knocked down is that this video is almost like half of the mods in this video have already been changed. I just personally have a bias against that type of video, but this is a great place for it because I don't have to worry about that. Like, whatever, it's out of date. This is like the secondary channel where people go to watch some discussion stuff. So it's a good fit for here. I don't know. Maybe this should be top 3 because even that complaint, like Parley kind of addresses that complaint. I don't know. Next one is enhanced status effects. Will Warframe's new enhanced status effects change the meta? A very bad future proofing. This one is kind of a newsy one. I'm going to put that pretty low to start. I don't like covering game news. This encourages people to interrupt discussion while we're trying to talk about builds and ask about Warframe news stuff. If people are disappointed often enough when they go to me for news, those people will stop coming to me for news. And it's not that I like hate those people in particular, but they're not going to get what they want from my channel, and they aren't really listening when I say what the channel's about. So it's best for everyone if those people move on to someone who's providing what they think they want. This type of parlay you would then fear makes it more likely that people are gonna, do the thing. In fact, Mr.FOoT, I think in the past you and I are both guilty of making it seem more like this is what I was doing than what I intended. For quite a bit of the time that you were requesting Warframe Parlay and I was still making Warframe videos, I intended to be a buildcraft focused channel, and it's not really your fault, right? So I don't know. I feel bad dinging this video because of that. Again, kind of a game design discussion, which I like. I'm going to put it in D, but again, we might move these around later. Okay. The best JoJo stand. What's the best JoJo stand if you don't want to die? I don't really remember how this one went exactly. Was it me saying my favorite stand? Which, like, of course, I don't have a single one, but I really like Superfly. I think that's what I answered. It's just so, like, what? It's such an odd... Anyway, this one is weird. It's kind of a reference that knocks it down a little bit. I'm so picky. Like, you hear this? Like, I'm so obnoxious about which parlay I like, which is, I guess, why this is fun, right? I just get to be annoying about my own preferences for like 30 minutes. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't know why you think I hate this parlay, by the way. I'm having fun. It's great. The best JoJo stand one. I don't know. To me, this feels kind of like a C. It gets up a little because this is a much more sustainable type of question. Like, if I've seen the show, like you've confirmed with me that I have watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I have, and so that's easier. But then if people haven't seen it, then it just kind of means nothing, I guess. You could describe what the abilities are, which I probably did. I hope I did. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in C for now. What's my relationship with my audience? Ooh, this one was real good. This is about parasocial relationships. The idea of this one is that there's a sort of asymmetry where we're kind of interacting even right now, for example, but it's not even. Like, I have more of the power in some ways. You have more of the power in a few ways, which I pointed out in that parlay. I think that on Twitch, especially, excuse me, a lot of people don't realize that when you post something in chat, you have a lot of power in a subtle way. You are somewhat co-opting, the community I created, which is like, that's complicated. But yeah, I really liked this one. I might even consider this top 3 material. That tier is probably going to move a lot, of course. So let's put it up there. Speaking in terms of logistics, I'm not going fast enough, but this is a good pace, so we're going to try not to rush or anything. What are the top 5 greatest parlay videos? Ooh, I don't know, man. Again, this one is almost entirely because it's just it's not a good direction to go in. Trying to, exactly like you said in your own similar parlay video, this one is on the tier list too. You don't want to compare different people's parlay because they have different goals. Now, I think you can still attempt to compare them. It wasn't so bad, though. It's not like I hated this or something, but I don't think it's a good idea for a parlay video. It's an interesting concept for a type of parlay, but it's kind of an incomplete version of this idea, right? but it's not that I like didn't like it or something. Anyway, whatever. I think that's an incomplete idea, but a lot of parlay videos are me giving an incompletely formed answer. So, like, no harm, no foul, but I'm gonna say D for now. What's my music build? Pretty low because this has changed completely in the past like 6 months. This answer means like very close to nothing now. I answered that I listen to different kinds of music in different situations. It's kind of a tool to manipulate flow. That's kind of true for everyone, though. Like that's just sort of a like music. I don't know. At the moment, I'm looking for a kind of MP3 player that I enjoy, like MP3 player app from a phone that is more low tech. A lot of them just do a lot of syncing and stuff that I don't want. I want to be able to upload files that I have acquired onto my phone and then play them. And it's a lot of there are many options for apps that do that. And so far, I don't like any of them at all. Like, it's not like they're okay. I think they're all really bad. They all have a lot of features that I just don't think there's a lot of feature bloat in my opinion. So whatever. At the moment I'm working on that, I've been building up an anime opening playlist lately, which has been glorious. It's at about 60 songs right now. Me being really picky about which anime openings I've liked. But yeah, but like I still like this because it has this is a good kind of parlay to have. Maybe I should move this up. This is hard. The future proofing thing, this is really bad on that axis. Like that's like almost irrelevantly bad. But then it's really good because this type of parlay is good for my career overall. Like trying to suggest to people that the mindset I'm using to make builds crosses over to be beneficial in other parts of life. So it's in my best interest to rate this relatively higher. So that's a weird one. So I'm gonna put it in B. Warframe pointlessness. Are most frames worth having? This is about how in Warframe there's many different Warframes, and a lot of them could be considered to have pretty redundant capabilities, which I thought was pretty interesting. I'm not just putting this in A because that one's empty. I feel like this is a good type of. It's also like why, you know, like this is a type of tier list thing where it's so specific. It's so we need to be talking about the utility of the thing. And the game design, and also, you know, what is even the point of having different options? Like I don't know, I like that one. I'm not gonna say classic. I think that it falls victim a little bit to the like limiting you to a single game perception. By the way, folks, just because I'm saying like all the Warframe videos make people think of a Warframe channel, you can ask for videos about a specific game without doing any harm. This is because I made like too many just Warframe videos. I waited too long to kind of branch out. And that resulted in all these parlay. Like, that's fine. It's not really Mr.FOoT, right? You can ask for parlay about different games without doing like damage to the channel or something. It's arguable how much of an effect that even has because this is the parlay channel, one of many good reasons why this is a separate channel from the Bootleg Builds channel and the Zanypants channel. Anyway, I'm gonna say A. I like this one overall, and it's only got some minor problems that are just me being obnoxious. The Potion Seller. I didn't like this one. A lot of you did like this one. This one did well. It's me imitating the potion selling meme, which I hadn't seen. So of course to me this was like me ruining a joke before I had even consumed the joke. I don't love these. I don't have a fond memory of doing this. It gave me social anxiety. But part of the reason I do parlay is to give myself minor social anxiety to branch out and become a more full-bodied person. So I don't think it's bad that I did that one. But in my mind, usually when a parlay like this comes up, I think, well, if I do a bad job, I don't have to try to do a bad job. It just will be bad because I'm not well suited to doing this thing in my mind. And then people just won't ask it more. I don't know. Or like if I really do think it doesn't have a lot of novelty, which is what I think like this will get old quickly. You think you want a lot of these, but once you see a few, you won't want more. And that did happen for one reason or another. So I personally feel like this is a place where parlay kind of self-corrects. and it's not bad to have a few of these. You could say actually that it gets a little bump for being like Parley worked, you know. Maybe I'll put it up here. I don't it's not like I despise this one. I don't know. I guess it should go in E. I'm not going to despise like any of these really. So the next one is called Why Can't I Stop Looking at Tsunemori Akane, the protagonist of Psychopaths. The little guy here says, what is good character design? I had fun doing this one. I don't know how else to. This is just like what do you really object to here? But I liked it. So I don't know. B? I'm not sure what to say. The thumbnail has a visible picture of Tsunemori Akane, who I really like. So A tier. Drift frame math. This one says, can you make the big money off of drift frame? I don't remember this one. This must be one of those that's like a really specific request that I simply don't remember. I don't really have anything to say about this one. So I guess for being not that memorable for me, it should go in a low tier. Drift frame is a very specific thing. It requires a lot of specific experience to do. I don't know. I wish I remembered this one better, but I don't. And again, I'm already taking way longer on each of these than I'm supposed to be. So we'll move on. Why do we enjoy violence? Yes, I liked this one. I like that you do this kind of Parley, Mr.FOoT. I feel like these kinds of questions you're very good at asking. It's a good question. There are no stupid questions, but you can make better questions, and this is a good one. This is like, what's up with the enjoyment of cathartic violence in video games, you know? Now, personally, I don't think this is particularly alarming. It's just the phenomenon of being able to separate fiction from reality. Just like if you like a fictional character and they're like a bad person or something, that doesn't mean you like people who are psychopaths or whatever. It means that you can tell fiction from reality and your standards change when the person isn't real. Like, that's not bizarre. That's one of many reasons why video games that are violent don't cause people to be more violent, because that's not like, no, like that's not how human brains work. We can tell the difference between those two things. And so I think this one's interesting because I feel like some catharsis, enacting destruction to externalize your emotions, is actually pretty healthy in my totally not a psychologist opinion. I liked this one. I'm going to say S for this one. Probably a lot of people are going to think, but for me, I have a fond memory of that one. I liked that one. I think, I don't know. What if our limbs bent backwards? What, why? Why have you done this? What? I don't know, man. Like, you tell me. I don't know what to say about this one. We're gonna put it in C because I laughed when it came up, but it's good clickbait. That's something you can say about this one. But I don't have anything else to say about this one. Have I ever had a dream? This is another meme one. It doesn't immediately go in E, but I'm gonna start it there. I don't know the whole meme. For me, these are like, I'm trying to make a joke, but I don't get the joke, and I don't like the kind of joke, and it just doesn't. I feel like I have nothing to provide. But these have been asked a moderate number of times, which tells me that you find it funny as I try to pick through the logic of the joke, which, like, now I feel like I kind of get that. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Is cereal sexy? Or this says FMK hard mode. Oh, yes, I remember this one. Yeah, this is about it was like different images or something. I'm gonna click it for 1 second. It was like different images, and I had to say whether I wanted to shag him or bag him. My hair is the worst in this parlay. I don't remember what the things I was ranking were, though. My goodness, I hated that hairstyle. There's a lot going on at the time. What are you gonna do, right? Good. I don't know. You should do this again. So I can do it with less cringeworthy appearance. Cool. Is whatever we might call God afraid of what they've created? Yes, I also really like this one. Kind of in the vein of the why do we enjoy violence one. I feel like this is a well reasoned question. This is you ask the question in a way that makes sense. Um, I understand that my quip about how I delivered the serial sexy one I just ranked, it has to do with the fact that I've changed the way I deliver parlay, basically from a way of delivering it to just no particular way of delivering it. I'm just trying to speak normally, which I personally have a much higher opinion of in the last couple of years. It was brought to my attention that even though I do a lot less of the like YouTuber voice than other people, I still do a little bit of it. And the more I thought about that, the less I liked that I do that. So I stopped. And well, I tried. It's hard, you know. I didn't always do it on purpose. And some theatricality is warranted in these settings, but this is more a parlay up the alley of where I am currently, I guess, which is why this is just a finicky thing for me to be ranking, because this is just me saying like I'm a moving target. You can't possibly please me. Nothing is real. but I like this type of parlay. I feel like these are good to chew on. Parlay has functionally become kind of a roll your own podcast kind of thing. So this feels like a good kind of one to do. Maybe this is just boring. I like the intellectual stuffy parlay, but I do. That's true. That sounds bad, but I agree with that. This next one, the thumbnail looks like Nicol Bolas. I'm just gonna show you it. Well, okay, you can't really see it there. Yeah, it looks like the horns of the dragon planeswalker villain in Magic. Rejected parlay. This one was you rapid fired me a bunch of parlay requests you didn't do, and then I answered them really quickly because you don't think they're worth like a longer request. I really don't mind these, like the sort of variety ones. I don't know. I feel like I like these more than other people do. The problem with the problem with this parlay idea is maybe you don't like it, like you, the parlay requester. It's like by definition, you're not as excited about these ideas. So I don't know. But if you catalog a bunch of small ideas, I feel like this is also hard to do for the average person. You're just sitting around collecting parlay ideas. I do that kind of thing, but I don't know. I like this. Like I wish more people did these. I like that. I'm S maybe. Classic because you were the person who progenerated this type of parlay. I don't know. What are humans least afraid of? Yes, this was a reference to Chainsaw Man, which has this concept. I haven't really consumed any of Chainsaw Man, but where there are different devils that are incarnations of human fear. So like the chainsaw devil is going to be pretty strong because chainsaws are scary to most people, like that. And so in response to that concept, you said, I think this is what it was, um, like what would be the thing humans are the least scared of? I think this is an interesting idea for a parlay. It's an interesting discussion point. The only bad thing about this is it provokes the internet to do the kind of like, but that's not the right answer kind of thing. Like there was that thing going around about someone did a parlay on this, whether there are more wheels or doors. Like there, you could try to use a bunch of science and stuff to say which one is correct. And I don't give even the slightest shit about that. Like, I don't care. I'm not remotely interested in that. I am interested in what would be an interesting line of reasoning with which to think about that subject. When it comes time to give an authoritative answer, I say that's completely like that's, if anything, negative, not only completely pointless. And to me, this is a kind of good version of that, where there's no, it's just so subjective. Like what kind of person thinks that there's any meaning to the thing I say is the thing humans are least afraid of? I don't know. Like this. So I think that's good. I liked this one. I'm going to say strong. A little run of the mill, maybe. You might call it gimmicky, but I liked this one. What would my casual tarot card tier list look like? Yeah, this one is tricky because it's like a tier list for tarot cards. Okay, people like tier lists. You seem quite willing to make templates for them. But yeah, but my complaint about this one, I guess, is that I worry that it's people saying, but this means to me this, and so, you're nitpicking biased, I wouldn't buy. But does that matter? Like, why does that matter on this channel? Like, isn't that kind of the point? It kind of is the point. I don't know. I'm really interested in the tarot. I am interested in the tarot in a lot of ways. They interest me because they have origins as gaming cards. The tarot as an occult divination system was a manufactured thing in the past couple hundred years, and they were more originally like a variant of the standard deck of playing cards that's now become common. They basically are the standard deck of playing cards, but with the major arcana as a kind of fifth suit, sort of. They're not. It's not exactly the same, but that's basically what it is. And so you can use this to play all sorts of card games, including a classic three-way one that I've played a bit of. I have a kind of tarot deck set up for gaming that I'm looking around my space to make sure isn't like right here, because I could then show you it. Anyway, it's around, which is pretty interesting, and I find it fascinating how that could interplay with this sort of divination thing. I am a very unsuperstitious person. I have a very strong opinion about superstitions. But I think that fortune telling can still have a role. It's just not usually done by people who would benefit from that. Maybe a topic for another time. I have some tarot related stuff planned in the future. So let's just say I found this one personally productive, and you don't get to know why yet. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is cool. Again, it's like me explaining my reasoning, which at its core is really the only thing I'm providing here. So I feel like this is kind of good. Maybe just solid. Yeah, I don't know. What makes something profound? I liked this one. I do think this is such an open-ended question that it's like, is this classic? I don't know. Maybe this is more classic than Why Do We Enjoy Violence? Or is God afraid of what he created? I don't know. Maybe I'm going to put that there. It's not, but then I'm encouraging you to ask a ton of these. See, this is where it gets hard, right? There's like a metagaming element where it's like, am I encouraging you to ask more of this type of parlay, which I don't necessarily want to do, but I kind of do want to do that. I'm going to put it in A. I might come back to that one. Are proper discussions on Twitch possible? This is very similar to the audience relationships one, and I don't remember which of them I prefer, so maybe I'll watch a tiny bit of them and try to remember better. But for now, it's going there. Business Zeus. This one was kind of a hybrid one. It was like a respond to this prompt, but then like Zeus from, I guess, Hades. But the core of this one was you had that pre-associated thought and you don't know what it means, but you wanted me to try to figure out. I think there's potential here. I'm gonna say strong for potential for that type of parlay. How weird, right? Like, and I know the feeling. Like, when did I get attached to that phrase? Sometimes I think, and then you wanted me to try to pair it apart somehow. I'm not sure this will literally ever work. Like, if you do this trying to get success, so you leave the parlay understanding why you thought that. Probably not, but I like them. I think that's cool. Can we improve the alignment chart and use it for parlay? This is pretty interesting. There's a lot of potential in this one. I'm gonna put God Afraid in here, and also Why Do We Enjoy Violence in here. I'm kind of redefining classic a little bit. I do think these are all strong parlay ideas. Character design thing, solid. I'm not as good a person to answer this question. Like I've definitely got some reasoning to explain about it, but the Warframe pointlessness thing, yeah. But this is kind of like you're getting this tier list is starting to gain a bit of an identity. Strong are these, staple, like a good month-to-month daily driver kind of question. These are classic to me because they spring to mind a whole new type of idea for parlay. And I think that you, Mr. Food, have had unusually many parlay that kind of prompt an entire new kind of parlay as well. So I've got a lot to say about the trends on this tier list, but that was a little quick reorganization because I am beginning to understand what I mean by each tier. I think that that takes a lot longer. I'm getting better at this as I've done more tier list parlays too. This makes more sense to me now. This looks more right. It's not that I don't quite like these, but they're not. That's not really what. It's not useful to say classic that way. Which one were we on? The alignment chart thing. Yes. The idea of the alignment chart, so is the like lawful, chaotic, good, evil thing. Now, in the first place, I feel like a lot of people misunderstand. In many contexts, evil is meant to be selfish, and people are kind of triggered to think bad when they hear evil. But it kind of isn't like selfish, selfless. You could argue selflessness is weird, conflicted in and of itself. I don't. I like the idea of kind of redefining them. And so you kind of redefined a certain kind of tier list, and then you wanted me to put other parlay on it. Maybe that gets downgraded because putting other people's parlay on it, in this very parlay, you kind of declared that you think that is a bad idea, which it kind of is. But yeah, it was an interesting challenge, and it was a good way to. I have this new idea for a tier list format, an alignment chart format. Put some mutually understood thing on it so we can understand it. That's good. This is one where I'm gonna say we waive the criticism about like rating other people's parlay, whatever. I like this one. I thought that was a solid idea. That has stuck in my mind. And I've had a long personal experience of editing how alignment is used in my own D&D campaign, for example. Although it isn't very much like this, you prompted those thoughts. Why did I pick a silly internet name like Sandy Pants? One of the most popular questions ever. And I don't entirely know why. I get the names kind of weird. But the answer is, so I feel like it's good that there's a parlay that answers this. Maybe just classic or strong. It is a question a lot of people want an answer to. It's easy enough to explain. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to say about this one, though. Maybe just solid. It's just, and I talked about internet handles in general, like what makes one good. I guess that's strong. I'm a good person to answer that question, too. I said some criteria for how I'm rating these, and I feel like those have kind of gone out the window, but you're seeing the criteria I'm actually using. I hope I'm explaining well each time. Does anything truly get better later? Ooh, this is like one of my favorite ones. The whole "it gets better later" thing. There are few things that are more of a pet peeve for me than people saying it gets better later. It's like, do you have no caution or suspicion about your own preferences? It doesn't occur to you that you just kind of get used to it? Like, no, people are terrible sources of authority on what is good. Recently, I was streaming Genshin Impact, and I was asked by a relatively new follower, people do this thing where they're trying to break the ice. They're going to ask a question initially that I almost never actually answer the question directly, but they don't want that. They're just trying to break the ice. They just want to talk, they want to interact, but they don't know you at all. They don't know me at all. So they're trying to break the ice. And they said, do you like anime? Do you like watching anime? I should have said no, because what you mean is like the common popular seasonal anime. And I think most of them are not even bad, just kind of pointless. Like they're not really trying to do anything other than be the thing that has happened before. I don't even feel like it makes sense to say, for example, Sword Art Online or Overlord is bad, but they're not good, in my opinion. If you evaluate them based on any criteria that would make them have merit, they fail. But it's not like there's some kind of atrocity. Some parts of them are some kind of atrocity, but it's not that they're bad, though. This is just an arbitrary example. I don't really care about these two shows. It's just that the only thing they're trying to do is be, I want the life in another world thing. I want that. I want the trapped in a video game thing. Let's go. By the way, I've watched all of Sword Art Online and about half of Overlord. So I'm not saying these from the perspective of like, oh, poo-poo, this thing's popular and I don't like it and you're all normies. I stayed for the meme with Sword Art Online, and it's just not very good. It's just perfectly average. But that's not, people don't like things because they're good, I said in that stream. And I'm going way too long for just one of these, but I don't care. And and so this parlay, breaking down why do people do that? Why do people not notice? I guess I didn't get into that as much as I could have. I didn't do as well as I could have at this, but it's a hard question. A lot of these I've said before in some of these discussion ones you've asked, like my answer is imperfect because it's challenging. You know, this kind of some of these you've kind of asked something similar again, like these two up here, which is good because they're challenging to answer. These I feel like these should kind of be one for the sake of ranking, but we'll figure that out later. I'm enthusiastic about this topic, and I feel like it is a productive public service act to make a parlay about this topic. I'm not trying to be too highfalutin about myself. I'm just saying you're using parlay to kind of accomplish something, which I feel like is good. So I'm gonna say classic. I like this one. I have a high opinion of this one. Contingent difficulty, oh baby, we're another banger immediately. 55 minutes of Zandy whinging about contingent difficulty. Holy shit. Contingent difficulty is just the snobby literary term for when you need to have, like when something is a reference, when you have to have consumed or known some other knowledge prior about like a proper noun or another work in the literary canon or whatever, to understand a work. When instead of referencing, for example, in this parlay, I use the example of nature, which is something we're more likely to have mutually experienced. Although Mr. Foot makes the point, not completely likely. It's not perfect, but it's better than referencing like Plato or something. Then only people who spend all their whole life with their nose in a book rather than experiencing the world will understand the thing you're writing, meaning you are inherently undermining your literature's ability to have any effect on any people that are relevant in any way. So if you want, there's a taste of that parlay snark for you. If you want to hear a grown man whinging about contingent difficulty for 55 minutes, watch this parlay. It's a classic in my mind, but I feel like it's probably actually really bad. So, to proceed with caution, okay? What's the weirdest way to buy groceries? I don't really remember this one. Procedure in everyday life, reasoning, build, craft, crossover thing in everyday life, good. B tier. What if I... okay, surely this has to be another one of those meme ones. I'm going to click this one. I don't remember what this was. Behold, my glorious supporter, True Mr.FOoT, has requested probably a response to a song lyric I don't know. Totally another one of those, baby. I don't know what I said about this. What I would say about this if I did it again is that it's in detail. is that that song lyrics are to me a really fascinating topic. I listen to a lot of like there are some real bangers in the anime opening genre, if you can call it a genre. And personally, I think that the fact that I can't understand lyrics because a lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of them are in Japanese, and I only speak not enough Japanese to understand lyrics spoken at that speed, makes it better because the lyrics are nonsense anyway. And so it's like, why, who even cares? I have a very low opinion of song lyrics. They're not without value. It's a different form of storytelling, of poetry. It's not fair to evaluate those as just making sense. It's kind of not the point. It's true, but it's not that I feel like they're bad. It's just like not a big deal to not have the actual words, in my opinion. I don't know. Let's say okay. It seems like I've also noticed, we'll get into this in a few minutes because we're almost done with ranking them all. I've noticed that a lot of these that are these like respond to a meme that I don't get, like a reference that I just don't know, and so I don't have much to say. This is the longest of them, or among them. It's longer than most of them, let's say it that way. And I think that is true to my experience of like, I kind of have things to say about that topic, even if it's not about those lyrics. So I don't know. I feel like it's unfair to say anything other than C. How would I respond to getting cast to the winds of history? Like if I just didn't exist and nobody knew about me? Oh, you're sent back in time. I remember this one. Yeah, a solid thought experiment one. you just get set back in time. And was this the one where I have to have a procedure for like what I do after that? Anyway, post void. Why make an intentionally uncomfortable game? I again, I think this improved my experience of the source material. It's a pretty unsustainable type of parlay, even though it only requires a little while to do. As there are more and more parlay. Parlay is only about 1/3 or 1/4 of its capacity at the moment. So these can't happen much. But I don't know. I had an okay experience of this one. Um, Post void is fairly challenging, I would argue, and but it does make its point pretty quickly. I thought this was an interesting game design one. I don't know. Maybe I'll say solid, but I feel like it is just gonna go in okay. But a lot of what's knocking these down is that it doesn't have a lot of potential for the future. Like we won't be able to do many of this type of parlay. I'm not sure whether that will make people not request them or request them now when there's room. And I always get bothered by that thing. I'm so picky about this topic where it's like, but I can't offer this going forward. So I over future proof. I'm guilty of over future proofing, not doing something at all because I won't be able to do it forever. Which like that's not we're not immortal deities, although I wish we were. So maybe that's not maybe that's silly. But I do it. That's me. Too bad. More rejected parlay. Get it in there. Move it. Get there. Yeah. Masterpiece. Moving on. What does America mean? I like this one. Is this a classic? Strong? Sure. Now, some of you may have noticed that there's a almost perfect staircase that makes these completely even. I swear I did not do that on purpose. I just feel like the whole ranking system thing. Here's the thing. For tier lists, this has literally nothing to do with this parlay. Okay, fine, I'll save it. But put a pin in it about why I think my tier lists are usually pretty evenly spread out and other people's are not. Put a pin in it. Weird stories better. I really liked this one. Again, I want to evaluate these two as the same for the purpose of a top three. I hope that's okay. This weird stories one has really stuck with me. Are weirder stories inherently better than more normal ones? I've been thinking about this a lot more since you said it. In fact, in a previous answer, I actually referenced this concept abstractly, the idea that it gets better later, that whole one. When I was saying, people don't like things because they're good, part of what I was referencing was this parlay's concept, the idea that it's not about the thing being proficient. Those are things that could smooth over the experience. In some ways, smoothing over the experience can make the thing disadvantaged because people aren't forced to engage with it, is basically what this parlay says. This was really interesting. For me, this was like top three that benefited me personally. And then this is me just being a dork. And then this is an actually very productive parlay. This one, well, we have to do this one at the end because we have to have done all the parlay first. So where will this one go? It's hard, right? Because this is really extreme for a lot of my criteria. It's wicked unsustainable. Like now that you've done it, it's like there would be no point in doing this for years now, which you said you've been waiting years to do it. So I suppose you know that, don't you? But this parlay is like designed to be limited that way. Okay. And then I did have fun with it. It's pretty long. It's quite challenging to fit this into the length of a parlay. I might have to just say solid. I feel kind of bad because I did have fun with this one, but yeah. Remember that B is better than average. Like it's still good, a good idea. Strong, given the context, maybe we can say strong. Let's just put it here for now. Okay, we did it. We got it. As you can see, we have three. These are together. It's kind of the same one. Come on. Up there, not very many near the bottom. And then Yeah, like a fairly even spread. Now, I was going to brag about why I think these are often so even in other tier lists I've done. Well, rating things is the whole thing about a tier list is it isn't about things that are just better or worse. It's about reasoning. It's about why. It's about the details. It's about not wanting a single answer. It's about putting it on a sliding scale. I think the trick of tier lists to some extent is that because they do have a bunch of like stark categories, even though you're putting things on a spectrum, it helps people who are almost everyone is really bad at doing that kind of thing. It helps them still put the things in buckets somehow. Um, but it'll be a lot more even if you are the type of person who already doesn't see things as being good or bad anyway, because that does not mean anything. And that is exactly me. Like, I'm just patting myself on the back. So, excuse me, I know, very ugly. Cringe, my guy. Yes, I know, but I don't care. This is my parlay, and Mr. Food made me do this. Tier list, any trends? These tend to be longer because I had more to say about them. A lot of uh, the types of parlay that I didn't have as much to say about were shorter, but then there would be one that was longer. So like the what if I, the lyric one. Um, a lot of the if you look at it, a lot of the ones that are higher up are less specific, like they're more abstract. They don't reference specific things. I like everybody to be able to follow along, which is why I like that. I like having it be a topic that I feel like is I feel like philosophy is a good fit for parlay, a good sort of food for the brain, rather than being something you study in college. Although a little bit in college can be good, I think. Maybe not a major. No offense to any philosophy majors. I majored in English, which is equally useless. So I I did it because I think that shouldn't be a major. It should just be a baseline thing. So I fixed the problem, but it's not a good specialty. I don't think it should be a specialty. Anyway, basically they're more philosophical up here. These were longer. I had more to say about them. A lot of tier lists were relatively high for me, which I stand by. You'll notice that there aren't any tier list parlay, and you've done more tier list parlay than everybody else has. That are very low. I had a like moderate to positive opinion of all of them. So just something to take note of. Any other trends? Really, it's pretty even. I do think most of your parlay are pretty good. I understand this is weird because it's relative to your own parlay. So like, wouldn't that mean that it has to be perfectly even because that's what relative to your own parlay means? But I think that obviously there is an element here of like what makes a good request, not in reference to other parlay requests, but in the vast vacuum of the cosmos, like in a vacuum or objectively. And I do think that you have made largely pretty productive parlay requests. I strongly stand by, you named this tier weak, but I stand by that. Like, not bad really, just not as good. And for all this time, I feel like even already at D tier, like this is already pretty okay. Like, and then C, like these are fine, perfectly fine. And then all of these are like, I have a pretty high opinion of most of this. Some of them, it's like, this is an interesting thing to ask me, but it just became outdated and that's not really your fault. This is the first one I placed. Do I still think that should be there? Corrupted Warframe mod thing? Yeah, because it's like a game design discussion topic, and you don't actually need to understand that much about Warframe specifically to understand this one. It's just about corrupted effects in games in general. So yeah, good, I think. Let's see what yours looked like. I think this will work. Yeah, I'm technically still here because this is how it worked out with my thing. What do you got? Audience relationships was top 3 for you. We agreed about that. The sexy cereal one, that was in classic for me, and you put it up there. Worst Warframe mod tier list was in S for me as well. Potion Seller went from E for me to S for you. Man, apparently I didn't do so bad with that one. Again, I don't think it's bad for me to step outside my comfort zone. That's why I started doing parlay partially. It's meant to be a machine that results in a better Zandy on the other side. That doesn't mean I always like that process. Doctor's orders, you know. Um, a lot of the meme ones, but those would be funny. So I gather, I think that what we're gonna go back to it, but I gather that what the meme ones being high on yours means is that it is indeed funny to you all to watch me like stumble through a reference I don't understand, which like that's fine. You know, that type of thing makes me feel more confident doing it, feeling like I'm not being asked to understand. I believe something about myself that I've learned in the past few years is that I really have some internalized it's hard to describe exactly, but like um I have assumed that the outside world expects me to understand everything, and that's kind of true. Like I feel like my generation, I hardly ever talk about that, but has been treated that way a bit, expected to just kind of figure things out when nothing makes any sense at all, and we were helped less. Although I personally have a pretty fortunate upbringing, I would say, very kind parents. But I've internalized that a bit. I get defensive about like why do people always assume everybody understands things? Which like people shouldn't do that. That is bad. But like nobody really cares that much if I don't understand. So anyway, being reassured that people did enjoy those makes me more okay with doing them. Like it's not like you have to avoid those like the plague or something. It's fine. Um, Bending limbs backwards. Really, was that one that good? I guess that's kind of in the same category. What are humans least afraid of? I put that one pretty high too. Um, Internet nicknames pretty high. A lot of S and A are like give or take. You know, I put some in S that you put in A. Again, I'll just quickly flash you back to here, and you can see a lot of the same pictures. It's really nice that you have the thumbnails, by the way, are near the top. But then almost all of the meme interpretation ones I put really low and you put really high. Interesting. JoJo was on the low side. Sent Back in Time and Pointlessness were pretty low. I thought those were pretty okay personally, but it's not like I rewatched them for this, so you might be more qualified than me. Interesting that we agreed about this one, the What If I lyric one. I put this the highest of the meme focused ones, and you put it the lowest of the meme focused ones, but it still ended up in the same place. That's a thing. Good character design was about average. IRL music build was around average. This was around the same place. The tarot card thing I put significantly higher, but not that high. Business Zeus was you trying to figure out a loose association one, but right, it probably just wasn't that effective for you, right? So I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, this is interesting looking at it this way. Most of them are in about the same place. It's really only the ones where, indeed, the experience between me and the audience is really different that you rated really differently. That's cool. That's interesting. I'll be honest that I didn't think that this would provide much insight, and I was definitely wrong. We we both put this one in A, which is perfectly arbitrary. That's delightful. Where'd you put the contingent difficulty thing? Where is that one with the books? In B, interesting. Okay, yeah. I mean, again, that's one where it's like the value it has to me. I would love to complain about it. We do a whole 8 hour stream where I just complain about contingent difficulty, whine about this thing that I hated in college for like the whole day. I don't know, a whole week. I will die on the hill of contingent difficulty being bad. It's bad. It's lazy. There's no advantage. It's just being snobby. I hate it. I hate references. It's so silly. It's just people replacing their personality with some mutual information that people were usually required to consume or automatically consumed by doom scrolling. I don't know. It's bad. Rar. Okay, I'm literally just turning this into that. I think that's all I have to say. Mr. Food has a quick explanation of their rankings. The Parley in D and E are questions that either have no interesting answer in retrospect, or they're questions that don't require an answer because I knew what you were going to say before asking. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so yeah, like the best JoJo stand, for example. Like, you know I'm just going to say I don't have a favorite one. or the Warframe pointlessness thing. It's like the question says it is pointless. Like, right? The requests in SS and S are all things that, one, are things that haven't been asked before, two, are questions which I couldn't predict the answer, and three, requests that were very entertaining answers. Okay, interesting. I'm glad I didn't miss that. I'm trying to end this within 1 hour, which is why I'm speeding up at the end. I liked this one. I hope you don't think that I don't know why you think I will hate this one. Tell me personally why you thought I would hate this. It was fun. Happy belated birthday. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's just my thing right at the end, so it's easy to find. I'll just end the video on this, so it's easy to find if you want. Maybe I can even really quickly make it bigger for you. I have 15 seconds. Well, there, I'll center it.